Have you ever sensed that faint, unsettling pressure? The one that doesn't come from a direct threat, but from a subtle, constant testing. They ignore your message, delay their reply, or use silence as a weapon. They twist your feelings, baiting you to see exactly where your emotional boundaries lie and how easily they can be crossed. They are looking for a chase, a reaction, an explosion. And the moment you break your composure, they've won. Every time you lose control, you are handing over the map to your own mind. That's the modern, silent game of power. Control through emotional pressure. They don't need to destroy you with force. They only need to make you feel, and feel uncontrollably. Your anger becomes their victory. Your guilt is the chain they use to bind you. Your sadness becomes their instrument of control. Niccolo Machiavelli didn't mince words. He who controls your emotions controls your fate. This is the absolute truth that most people fail to see. This is why the calm ones always win. The individuals who refuse to flinch, who offer no reaction, who stand silently without the need to explain. They intimidate everyone. Emotional control is the ultimate, untraceable power. Silence creates nervousness. Calmness breeds confusion. Restraint establishes dominance. To become emotionally dangerous is to be utterly unpredictable. You can absorb pain and still offer a smile. You can endure an insult and remain perfectly quiet. You can be met with doubt and yet walk forward with unshakable certainty. That's when you become untouchable. You don't need to shout, prove, or fight it. Your silence does the work for you. You become the approaching storm that people sense but never see coming. Most people chase love, acceptance, and understanding. But when you stop reacting, when you want nothing from others, you gain something infinitely more potent: control. When no one can control your emotions, no one can control your life. That unreadable, calm, and unpredictable presence, that is what makes you emotionally dangerous, ensuring you'll never again be a puppet in someone else's game. If you are ready to master your inner world, stay with me. This perspective will fundamentally change how you view every interaction. Number 1. Unmasking emotional manipulation. Most people are already controlled, yet they don't see it because manipulation never looks like a leash. It looks like care, it looks like concern, it looks like love, or it's disguised as loyalty. But hidden underneath that veneer is cold, surgical strategy. Emotional conditioning doesn't begin with a conflict. It starts with attention. Someone studies you. They map out what makes you soft, what provokes your anger, and how you naturally react. They are collecting your emotional data to use it as a weapon later. Then they strike. They make you feel guilty for asserting your space. They make you question yourself even when you know you are right, forcing you to doubt your own instincts. This isn't connection, it's conditioning. A true manipulator doesn't need to demand power. They get you to willingly hand it over. And the primary method is controlling how you feel. The manipulator's favorite weapon. Guilt is their favorite tool. They'll deploy simple, devastating phrases like, "I thought you were different," or "You've really changed." These aren't observations of reality. They are strategically designed traps. Their purpose is to make you second-guess your strength and compel you to return to a more submissive, compliant version of yourself. Emotional manipulators fear your calmness far more than your rage. Your anger is a predictable explosion. Your calm is an impenetrable wall. When you are calm, you cannot be controlled. Machiavelli's observation holds true. Men are driven by two things: fear and interest. Manipulators masterfully blend both. They make you afraid of losing them, and they make you intensely interested in winning their approval. This is how they control both your heart and your behavior. The most dangerous aspect is that it feels emotional, not strategic. But it is always both. If you feel heavy, drained, or misunderstood after an interaction, that is not an accident. It's a sign of control. They are feeding off your emotional reaction like energy. When you finally stop reacting, they will panic. They'll accuse you of being cold or heartless. This is nothing more than desperate noise, the cry of someone who's just lost access to your internal state. Emotional manipulators despise silence because it forces them to face themselves. Your silence is a mirror, and they cannot stand the reflection. They will try harder, faking vulnerability, playing the victim, or offering false promises of change. This is all bait to drag you back into their cycle of emotional dependency. The only way to achieve freedom is awareness. Once you identify the pattern, the power returns to you instantly. You start seeing through every manipulative act, every guilt trip, every silent treatment. The moment you see the script, the play stops working. You shift from reacting to observing. You let their attempts echo into your unshakable calm. You watch them perform their theatrics while you remain the silent audience. The moment you become emotionally unavailable for their manipulation, you stop being a target. Detachment is not indifference. It means you care intelligently. It is the understanding that emotional access has a high cost. Not everyone has earned the right to reach your deepest feelings. Some only seek access to use them against you. You must guard your emotions as if they were currency. Only invest them where there is respect, not a hunger for control. Once you master this, you become free. No manipulator can survive without your reaction. They need your emotional chaos to fuel their control. Take that away and you starve them of power. This is how you win, not by fighting back, but by refusing to play their game. The next time someone tries to provoke you, guilt you, or twist your emotions, remember, it is not a conversation, it is a test. Pass it by staying absolutely calm. Walk away without a word. Control yourself and you control everything. Number 2, emotion is weakness. Most people believe that feeling deeply is what proves their humanity. They are wrong. Unbridled emotion is merely the fastest route to losing complete control over your life. Love, fear, anger, and empathy are not inherently dangerous, but allowing them to rule you is. Every time you act on impulse, every time your momentary mood dictates a choice, you willingly hand a piece of your power to someone else. The world doesn't care about your heart. It only responds to control. Machiavelli recognized this brutal reality centuries ago. He observed that rulers who let their personal feelings cloud their strategic decisions inevitably fell. He taught that men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. People have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration. In the modern context, this means your visible emotions will be exploited before anyone ever bothers to see your true intentions. Your sadness, your excitement, your sudden anger, these are a roadmap for others to predict, overpower, and manipulate you. When you rage against an insult, you give the insulter valuable information. When you desperately chase approval, you reveal a core weakness. When you fall too openly in love, you show others the strings they can pull. Emotional transparency is vulnerability disguised as honesty. The strongest person in any room is never the loudest, the most passionate, or the most charismatic. It is the one who does not permit their emotions to dictate their actions. They grasp that an uncalculated reaction is a form of surrender, and that genuine power resides in relentless restraint. Machiavelli's famous maxim is often misquoted. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. This is not an instruction to be cruel. It is a strategic warning. Uncontrolled feeling, sentiment, and attachment are weaknesses that others will exploit. Your anger must be measured. Your fear must be analyzed. Your desire must be restrained. If you fail to do this, these emotions will consume you, making you fatally predictable. People will quickly sense your triggers, study your predictable responses, and use them against you. This is why survivors, thinkers, and historical leaders mastered the art of emotional suppression. They smiled while they were furious. They remained silent when insulted. They made decisions based on cold strategy, never on instinct. You can still feel love without a needy dependence on it. You can still feel anger without allowing yourself to explode. You can feel fear without letting it paralyze your will. That perfect, lethal balance is the hallmark of the emotionally dangerous. It is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of iron discipline. Every single uncalculated response is a crack in your armor that someone will exploit. The world is not waiting to reward your goodness. It is waiting to exploit your lapses. If you let your feelings spill over, they will see the cracks in your armor and walk right through. They will use your natural empathy against you, your hope against you, and your patience against you. Emotional control is the final battlefield where the strongest thrive because they are untouchable. Their calmness becomes their sharpest weapon. Their stillness becomes a source of fear. Their unreadable face becomes a shield that no one can pierce. They feel everything that everyone else feels, but they act like no one else. They are completely aware of the attempts to manipulate them, and yet they remain untouched. This level of mastery is not granted. It is forged through constant daily vigilance. Every day, someone will test your limits, provoke your calm, and try to force a reaction. Discipline is your sword. Detachment is your shield. Awareness is your armor. The moment you surrender even a fraction of your emotional control, you surrender a piece of your power. And power, once lost, is rarely, if ever, regained. Machiavelli's law is simple and brutal. Uncontrolled emotion is weakness, and weakness invites domination. The more you allow your feelings to dictate your actions, the more predictable, controllable, and exploitable you become. The only path upward is to act with purpose. Calculate every response. Never let your inner state be an open book for the world to read. This is the path of true control. Number 3, the meaning of being emotionally dangerous. Being emotionally dangerous is not synonymous with being cruel, cold, or indifferent. It means your emotions are no longer your enemies, and they have been stripped of their power as weapons for others to use against you. It means every feeling you possess, pain, anger, love, fear, desire, is expertly harnessed, measured, and placed under your absolute command. Most people allow their inner world to run wild like an untamed beast. That lack of control makes them weak, predictable, and ripe for exploitation. When you become emotionally dangerous, your inner world is transformed into an impenetrable fortress. You can feel profoundly, but no one can see the cracks. You can care fiercely without needing validation. You can feel rage without the need to explode. You can hurt without giving anyone a witness to it. The moment someone sees what troubles you, they gain instant leverage. The moment they witness a sign of weakness, they gain power. Emotional danger is the advanced art of transforming feelings into silent weapons. And a silent weapon is a threat that can never be countered. Machiavelli observed that men in general are quick to believe, slow to act, and easy to deceive. This is the exact human flaw that emotional manipulators exploit. They relentlessly test your reactions, push your triggers, and study your behavior until they can accurately predict your next move. But the emotionally dangerous person is unreadable. Their face betrays nothing. Their hands are still. Their body language offers no clues. They become a perfect mystery. Mystery is power. It compels others to hesitate. It forces them to question and second-guess their own manipulative attempts. They cannot calculate your response because there is no predictable pattern for them to exploit. Furthermore, being emotionally dangerous means you are no longer a willing participant in petty games. You instantly see attempts at provocation and manipulation for the cheap theater they are, and you remain perfectly still. You stop chasing attention, validation, or approval. You understand that the world does not reward open-heartedness or sensitivity. It rewards control. Your calmness is your armor. Your restraint is your weapon. Your silence is your dominance. Emotional danger is also built on anticipation. You recognize the triggers and weaknesses in others before they even act, and you prepare yourself mentally, strategically, and emotionally. You never react impulsively. You act deliberately. You take the chaos of others' emotions and turn it into a powerful tool for your own advantage. The more they try to manipulate you, the more visible their weakness becomes, and the more your power grows. You are not cold because you refuse to feel. You are strong because you refuse to surrender. You will experience pain, betrayal, and disappointment. But these experiences no longer have the power to unseat you. You process them entirely internally, denying outsiders the map to your mind. This is why the emotionally dangerous are respected, feared, and rarely understood. They are untouchable because they cannot be controlled. They are unbreakable because their foundation is internal mastery, not external validation. They do not need to prove anything to anyone, yet their mere presence commands attention. Their silence creates uneasiness. Their calmness unsettles chaos itself. Their composure instantly disarms confrontation. Every move is measured. Every word is intentional. Every reaction is calculated. They are a storm, perfectly contained within a human body, powerful, unpredictable, and untouchable. Emotional danger is not about who hurts you. It is about how you choose to respond, how you choose to feel, and how you ensure that your emotions remain yours and yours alone. To be emotionally dangerous is to hold absolute dominion over yourself, while the world around you scrambles in uncertainty. Number 4. The 5 pillars of emotional control. Mastering emotional control is not the act of suppressing your feelings or pretending to be unfeeling. It is the process of transforming your instinctive emotional reactions into conscious, deliberate actions that serve your power, your clarity, and your freedom. It's about turning impulse into strategic choice. Pillar 1. The strategic pause. Pause before you react. Every second you resist the instinct to respond is a second you are actively reclaiming power. Manipulators, provocateurs, and opportunists thrive on immediate reaction. They prod, they push, they trigger, and then they wait. The instant you respond impulsively, you've handed them vital information about your desires, your fears, and your deepest weaknesses. The pause is not hesitation. It is a weapon. It disarms the manipulator and unsettles the provocateur. Crucially, it gives you the necessary time to assess the situation with cold, objective clarity, rather than through the distorted lens of emotion. Pillar 2. Replace emotion with strategy. Whenever you feel a powerful urge to act, stop and ask a single game-changing question. What is the most useful move right now? This simple reframing instantly shifts your focus from instinct to calculation. It allows you to see the situation as it is, not as your turbulent feelings make it appear. Strategy converts pure emotion into directed power, and power into decisive action. Pillar 3. Neutralize your triggers. Every person has specific emotional buttons. When pressed, they ignite chaos. You must identify yours. Observe them with cold detachment, without shame, without judgment, and without reaction. Once you fully understand what destabilizes you, you can neutralize it. You train yourself not to react, not because you are indifferent, but because you are prepared. Preparation creates invulnerability. Pillar 4. Control your visual communication. Emotions constantly leak through subtle physical signals. A breath that catches, a slight twitch, a nervous glance. Your eyes can give away curiosity. Your posture reveals tension. Your mouth can betray contempt. Mastering these visible channels is mastery over perception. If others cannot accurately read your emotions, they cannot predict your decisions, and they certainly cannot manipulate your behavior. Stillness, silence, and measured expressions communicate far more raw power than any words ever could. Pillar 5. Say less than necessary words are ammunition. Every statement you make can be twisted, used against you, or weaponized. The less you reveal, the less leverage others have to exploit you. Speak with extreme precision. Speak only with purpose. Speak with absolute restraint. Silence is not an absence of sound. It is gravity. It is the unnerving calm that pulls attention. It is the space in which you remain entirely untouchable. Emotional control is a daily practice, not a single achievement. Every single day, someone will attempt to provoke you, guilt you, or manipulate you. Discipline is a continuous, internal war with your own instincts. Detachment is the art of observing reality without ever surrendering to it. Restraint is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate demonstration of your command over your environment and yourself. When you master these 5 pillars, your calmness forces immediate hesitation. Your awareness makes them second-guess their moves. Your silence strips them of all leverage. Every interaction becomes a test, and you are always prepared to pass. Number 5. Building your emotional fortress. Your mind is a battlefield, but you have the power to transform it into an absolute fortress. Most people leave their gates wide open, allowing every insult, every emotional provocation, and every passing opinion to flood in and wreak havoc. They allow outsiders to occupy their thoughts, dictate their moods, and systematically undermine their confidence. But you are not most people. Building an emotional fortress means creating boundaries so formidable that no one can penetrate them without your explicit permission. This is the ultimate, non-negotiable expression of self-control. The first layer, unyielding awareness. You must recognize what belongs inside your mind and what must remain outside. Not every opinion deserves weight. Not every fleeting gesture demands your attention. Not every external action should be allowed to affect your internal state. The world will relentlessly test your defenses, but your awareness acts as the supreme filter for what is allowed to enter your consciousness. The second layer, absolute detachment. Emotional independence is your moat. It keeps pressure, chaos, and manipulation at a necessary distance. Detachment does not mean you have become apathetic. It means you are observing without surrendering your will. You can perfectly see the provocation and the deception, yet you remain completely untouched. This strategic distance ensures that no one, under any circumstances, can exploit your feelings. The third layer, iron discipline. Discipline is the foundation that prevents cracks from forming in your fortress walls. It is the continuous training of your behaviors, your thoughts, and your reactions so that you always respond intentionally rather than instinctively. Each time someone attempts to trigger you, discipline ensures that you remain silent, strategic, and calm. The fourth layer, non-negotiable self-respect. A fortress is useless if its owner allows outsiders to trample its walls at will. You must value your internal peace, your relentless focus, and your personal power above securing anyone else's approval. Self-respect is the inner guard, ensuring that your boundaries are enforced without a hint of compromise. The fifth layer, unbreakable resilience. No structure can withstand constant siege without consistent repair. Life will test you. People will try to provoke, manipulate, and break you. Resilience ensures that when cracks appear, you reinforce them immediately. Pain becomes a tool for growth. Betrayal is transformed into valuable information. Pressure becomes a crucial opportunity to strengthen your walls. Machiavelli advised, "A prudent man ought always to follow in the paths trodden by great men and imitate those who have been supreme." Your emotional fortress is built on the same principle, by observing, learning, and emulating the ways of those who remained utterly untouchable under the most extreme pressure. Every insult dies at your walls. Every attempt at manipulation harmlessly bounces off your defenses. Every emotional assault is converted into a lesson in fortification, not a wound. Inside this fortress, you are sovereign. You hold the keys to your reactions, your thoughts, and your personal power. Building this fortress is an active, ongoing effort. It demands constant vigilance, strategic reinforcement, and the courage to confront the uncomfortable truths about both yourself and others. But the reward is absolute independence. Once your walls are complete, no opportunist, no manipulator, and no emotional predator can ever infiltrate your mind. You operate from a place of supreme sovereignty, where external chaos holds no dominion over your internal state. That is true emotional mastery. The fortress you build is often invisible to the world, but its strength is undeniable. It makes you fearless, confident, and impossible to predict. It turns manipulative attempts into lessons in control, and emotional attacks into nothing but harmless noise. Your inner empire becomes your ultimate permanent weapon. Number 6, maintaining emotional power. Emotional power is not a prize you win once and then simply forget. It is a continuous battle, a daily exercise in relentless vigilance, strategy, and restraint. Every single day, someone will try to drag you into their drama, provoke your deep-seated anger, or manipulate your sympathy. The world is full of people who crave your reaction. They want to test the very boundaries of your composure and gain access to the weaknesses you've carefully hidden. Maintaining emotional power means you never give them that access. The first rule: hyper-vigilant observation. You must become an expert at reading others' intent without ever revealing your own vulnerability. Notice the timing, the tone, and the subtle behavioral patterns of everyone around you. Recognize which people thrive on manufactured chaos and who is strategically attempting to elicit a reaction. Understand that people rarely act randomly. Every emotional tug, every silent treatment, every calculated slight has an underlying purpose. Awareness transforms attempted control into mere harmless information. The second rule: absolute restraint. You must resist the primal urge to respond immediately, to argue, to justify, or to defend yourself. Restraint is not passive weakness, it is strength in continuous motion. Every single withheld reaction strips power from the manipulator, removes the fuel from provocation, and preserves your internal authority. The world expects predictable emotional responses. Refusing to give them what they expect breaks their entire script. The third rule: internal detachment. Emotional power requires you to live from a place of profound inner independence. No one should have the power to dictate your decisions, your focus, or your mood. Detachment is not apathy. It is sovereignty. It grants you the ability to feel without surrendering, to notice the trap without being ensnared, and to interact without being owned. The fourth rule: relentless discipline. Every person will encounter moments of weakness, powerful triggers, or situations specifically designed to shatter their calm. Discipline ensures that these moments are treated as vital opportunities to practice mastery rather than occasions to suffer a loss of control. It requires repetition, training, and an unwavering commitment to self-command. The more disciplined you become, the less anyone can predict, manipulate, or destabilize your internal state. The fifth rule: continuous reinforcement. Emotional power is never static. Every day brings new provocations, new challenges, and new tests. You must continually reinforce your self-control, immediately repair any cracks in your composure, and constantly refine your strategies for remaining unreadable. A single lapse can undo months of dedicated mastery. Machiavelli said, "It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver." Maintaining emotional power works on the same principle. When others attempt to manipulate you and you remain completely untouched, the deep satisfaction comes not from revenge, but from absolute control. They expect chaos. You offer cold calm. They anticipate weakness. You demonstrate dominance. They seek to sway you. You remain immovable. Over time, this perfect consistency builds an unshakable reputation. People learn that you are not a viable target. They realize you cannot be provoked, and that any attempts to exploit you are utterly futile. Your mere presence becomes the ultimate deterrent. Emotional power is a profound internal phenomenon. It is the ability to process disappointment without bitterness, betrayal without collapse, and provocation without impulsive action. You don't need to openly display this power to anyone. It is invisible yet palpable, subtle yet absolute. People will sense it in the way you move through the world, the way you speak, and the way you hold yourself. They will hesitate, question, and second-guess their motives because they cannot unsettle, control, or predict you. Maintaining emotional power means understanding that control over others is always secondary to control over yourself. Your focus, your reactions, and your inner state are non-negotiable. No insult, no manipulation, and no person can disturb them without your explicit permission. That is the ultimate, non-negotiable power. The power that requires no validation, no confrontation, and no approval. You operate in the world unshakable, untouchable, and unexposed. The strongest person in any room is the one who has no need to prove it, the one who does not seek reaction, and whose internal authority is absolute. Every single day you maintain this power, you reinforce the very foundation of your untouchable self. You become someone who cannot be read, owned, or controlled. You transform external pressure into strategy, chaos into useful information, and provocation into a demonstration of your absolute mastery. The man who cannot control his emotions will inevitably serve the one who can. This is the brutal truth most people refuse to see. The world does not reward open hearts or explainers. It rewards self-mastery, precision, and control. If you have followed this difficult path, if you've learned to pause, replace emotion with strategy, neutralize your triggers, control your face, speak only when necessary, build your fortress, and maintain your power, you are no longer a pawn. You are the one who determines who influences you and who does not. Your decisions belong only to you. Your emotions belong only to you. Your mind is your empire, and it is untouchable. The people who once tested you, provoked you, and attempted to pull you into their toxic games will sense the change. They will feel your calm. They will respect your restraint. And they will hesitate. They will fear before ever trying to manipulate you again. Because nothing is more intimidating than someone whose internal world cannot be invaded. You do not need to shout, explain, or justify yourself. Every single interaction becomes a silent, powerful demonstration of your mastery. The less they know about your reactions, the more absolute the power you hold. Emotional danger is unstoppable, invisible, and subtle. It is the silent storm that people sense but can never anticipate. It is the fortress no one can breach. Remember that this mastery is not permanent unless you relentlessly maintain it. Every day will bring new provocations and new tests. Your control is a practice. It is a continuous war against distraction, impulse, and desire. But the reward is absolute authority over yourself and your world, respect and freedom. You are untouchable not because you dominate others openly, but because no one can dominate you at all. This is the relentless path of the emotionally dangerous, unpredictable, unreadable, calm. Your emotions are your dedicated servants, not your masters. Your mind is your territory, and no one can invade it without your consent. Guard your reactions, strengthen your inner fortress, and refuse to be owned. Because when your emotions belong only to you, no one can control your life. You become formidable. You become untouchable. You become the storm everyone fears but never sees coming. Commit to action today. Become the master of your own mind. Become emotionally dangerous. True power always starts within.